Hello everyone. I'm going to show you how to find probabilities based off of a normal curve using z-score. So the formula for a z-value, z-score, is x minus mu over sigma. X represents the data value that we're trying to locate. So more than some number, less than some number between. That will represent your x value. Mu is your population mean. And sigma is your population standard deviation. So let's go through this question. A car's average speed is 50 miles per hour with a standard deviation of 4 miles per hour. What is the probability that the car is traveling faster than 57? So let's start with finding our z-value. 57 was our data value we're trying to find, faster than 57. Minus our mean, divide by your standard deviation. You put this in your calculator. You can do it two different ways. You can do the numerator first, then divide, or you can just do it together, but use parentheses on the numerator and then divide by the denominator. So our z-score is 1.75. You're going to go to your z-table next. You're going to go down to 1.7 and go across to column 0.05 because 0.5 was the second decimal value, the hundredths place. So 1.75. So we go down to positive 1.7 and go over to column 5. So this is your probability. Now, if you look at the z-table, the shaded region to the left is the probability. So 0.955 is a shaded region to the left. So p-value is 0.9599. Let me double check that value one more time. 0.599. Okay. So let's visualize this on a normal curve. We said our mean was in the middle, and we had faster than 57. Faster is shaded towards the right. But when we looked up this probability on the z-table, this was the area to the left. So this shaded region was 0.9599. We are trying to find faster, which is the area to the right. So to find the probability area to the right, we have to do 1 minus the probability. So 1 minus 0.9599 will give us our final answer. So 1 minus 0.9599, I get 0.0401. So this is the probability that your car is traveling faster than 57. Now, if you're using the TI-84, TI-83 calculator, you can also find the answer. I just showed you the approach by hand. So the quick method to check our solution, we can use the calculator. You press second vars. We want to number 2 where it says normal CDF, press enter. The lower limit for our shaded region based off of our picture. So our lower limit is 57. Everything faster than 57, so an infinite number, I use 99999. The mean was given as 50. Your standard deviation was given as 4. paste it, press enter, and it gives you the probability. 0.0400, this 5 rounds it up to a 1. So that gives you the same answer that we found by hand. If you're doing it through Excel, you can also do it this approach. To find faster than 57 with a mean 50, standard deviation 4. You're going to type in equal normal dot distribution. Just double click on the formula. It says you put the X value first, so 57, comma, the mean, 50, comma, the standard deviation, 4, comma. It wants to know whether or not this distribution is considered a cumulative or is it a probability mass function. For these particular questions, we are using the accumulative distribution function. So we're going to type in true and then press enter. This is the probability shaded to the left. To get faster than 57, we need the probability to the right. So in order to do that, you need to do 1 minus the probability. So equal 1 minus, and click on the previous probability answer, press enter, and what do you know? This number matches the same number we found in the calculator and also by hand if we round to 4 decimal places. All right, let's go to the next part of the question. Now we want to find the probability that a car is traveling slower than 52. We're going to follow the same approach. We're going to do our z-score formula for 52. So z equals 52 minus the mean divided by your standard deviation. So in the calculator, 52 minus 50 divided by 4. I get 0.5. You go to the table. You go down to 0.5 and you're going to go over to column 0.00 because the second decimal value, the hundredths place, was a 0. So you go to the 0 column. And let's find that probability. So go down to 0.05, and then we want column 0, which is that first value, 0.6915. So your probability is 0.6915. Let's draw our picture. Mean in the middle. It said slower than 52. So slower is the area to the left, and the z-table provided the area shaded to the left. So that is our final answer. We don't have to do 1 minus. So the probability the car is slower than 52 is 0.6915. Let's check this answer in the calculator. Second VARS, number 2, normal CDF. Now, since we're shaded to the left, we don't know what our lower limit is, our lower bound, so we just use an infinite negative number, so negative 99999. The upper stops at 52 miles. The mean is 50, standard deviation is 4. Paste your answer. Round to 4 decimal places, 0.6915, which matches the same answer we found by hand if we are doing it in Excel. We want slower than 52 with the mean 50, standard deviation of 4. You put type equal, normal distribution, the x, then the mean, then the standard deviation, true for a cumulative distribution, and this is your area to the left, round 4 decimal places. All right, next part of the question. What is the probability that a car is traveling between 49 miles per hour and 56 miles per hour? We have two values to find, 49 and 56. So that means we need two z-scores. So let's find the first one. We want 49. And the other z-score, let me double check our numbers, 49 to 56. So 56 is our other data value. Put these in the calculator to get your z-score. So the first one is a negative 0.25. And positive 1.50. Z-table. The first z-table, we're going to go to the negative 0.2 and go over to column 0.05. Remember, the column is the second decimal place, the hundredths place. And then we'll also look up the second z value, 1.5, column 0. Second decimal place was a 0, so we need the zeros column. So if we look at our table, negative is on the second sheet. So negative 0.2 and then go over to column 5. So column 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0.4013 is the first probability. And then 1.50. So go to the positive side. 1.5, column 0. 9332. 0.9332. That's our second probability. To find the probability between the two speeds, you're going to subtract the higher probability minus the lower probability. You can never have a negative probability. Probabilities are always between 0 and 1. So make sure you subtract the higher number minus the lower number. So the area between is going to be 0.9332 minus 0.4013. Put that in your calculator. I get 0.5319 as our final answer between the speeds of 49 to 56. So this is your answer. If you're doing it in the calculator, second bars, normal CDF. The lower value was 49. The upper value was 56, mean of 50, standard deviation of 4. Paste your answer. And round 4 decimal places, it does match what we found by hand. If you need a visual, we can draw a normal curve as well. I forgot to do that. So here's our normal curve if you need a visual. 50 in the middle, 49, and 56. We're looking for the shaded region between. So that's the reason why we have a lower and an upper value versus the other two examples had an infinite of value. These ones are restricted between two numbers. If you're doing it in Excel, between 49 to 56. You want to find the first probability. It's preferred if you use the higher number first if you're doing it in Excel. So equal normal distribution. The higher number was 56. The mean was 50. Standard deviation 4. True for a cumulative. Find the second p-value. You'll use the smaller speed in this case. So normal distribution. The smaller speed was 49. The mean of 50. Standard deviation 4. True for a cumulative distribution. And then to find your final probability between the two speeds, you take P2 minus P1. So P1, excuse me. P1 minus P2. So equal, click P1 value, minus, click the P2 value, press enter. Again, round to 4 decimal places. And what do you know? This value matches what we have in the calculator as well as what we found by hand. So there's 3 scenarios. When you're doing z-score. If they're asking you to find more than some number, make sure you do 1 minus the probability from the table value. If you have less than some number, your probability is just the probability from the table. And then the third scenario is if you're between the lower number and the higher number. You're going to take the probability from the higher number minus the probability of the lower number from the table. If you're doing it in the calculator, normal CDF, you put the number first, whole bunch of 9s. This is if you have a more than. Then your mean, then your standard deviation. If it's a less than in the calculator, you do negative, whole bunch of 9s, then the number that they're asking for, then your mean, then your standard deviation. If you're finding between in the calculator, you put the lower number first, then you put the higher number, then your mean, then your standard deviation. And then of course by hand, don't forget the z-score formula. X minus the mean, divide by your standard deviation.